Okay, so you can run Subversion a couple different ways. SVN serve is the process you'll typically run just like on your computer. Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, sure. So different ways to run this. Subversion supports 3 different ways of running. There's SVN serve, which is the slimmest, basic, easiest and quickest way to get up and running. You can also do SVN serve over SSH. So if you have an SSH server, people can SSH encrypt in, they encrypt the traffic over HTTP. I'm sorry, over SVN, and then or SSH or whatever, and then it basically connects to the remote computer and then uses SVN server. You can also use Apache. Apache is extremely useful because it allows you, if you're going to one of those websites where you just click on View Repository and it lists all the files on the repository, and then you can browse it, they're using Apache. You can connect to different authentication sources like SASL or Kerberos. I don't know if anybody's familiar with what those are. It can get really complicated, but one of the primary advantages of Apache is you have finer directory control, and you can also sync in accounts with LDAP or Active Directory. So if you're part of a large corporation or a community and you all have all your account data stored on one server, you can, instead of having to make a user for each user who wants to be on the system, as you would with, say, SVN server over SSH, you can just tell it to reference the LDAP directory.
Which, just for what we do at where I work right now is we have a server with all our SVN accounts, as well as like a test server where we deploy like test web apps too. So I can log into that server and like maybe update the website, but at the same time that same username and password will get me to SSH. So it's kind of flexible is the point of that. And then this is, let you guys read this. These are the most basic SVN commands, and you do these on a terminal. So you just open up terminal or
we're actually going to demonstrate these.
Yeah. And you type these commands, and there's usually always a short version, sometimes a long version of the command. So SVN is the program. You just type SVN, CO, and then the URL to whatever repository or SVN project that you want to get a copy of or check out. So that's when you download from the SVN server all the files that are there. So for example, when you join a company, you want to get a copy of the data, you SVN CO, and then wherever they're storing their data. If you want to add a file to the repository, you just added a new, maybe a new window or component or class to your project, and you want to check in that file, SVN add, and then the file name, or actually as many file names as you want. To see what you changed locally since the last time you synced with the SVN server, SVN ST, your status. SVN up or update gets all the latest changes from the server. It's like a checkout, except instead of getting everything, it just gets the changes. And CI or commit is the keyword, but I think of it as check-in. Did people say that right? Check-in?
Check-in.
Check-in the code.
Typically, check-in and check-out were leftovers from CDS terminology. SVN adopted, they adopted commit.
So what you do here is SVN CI and then -m and then the message or log description is what he was talking about earlier when you can kind of see all the changes everyone's made, and if you add this message to it, which is a best practice to do, then you'll be able to go back and see what was changed in a very intuitive manner.
There's a very good rule of thumb to follow, and it's do not check in without a log message.
Yeah.
Now, it really kind of sucks, but when you're writing it, but it's really helpful because if you have a bunch of people and all of a sudden you've skipped 20 revisions in the future, you say, what exactly happened? Instead of having to update your repository and find out, you can go through the log message and see, okay, so-and-so updated the repository this time, this date, changed these files, and you can actually go through and diff the files, and then you can read the log message. Say, fixed bug number, whatever, or said, added, I don't know, model viewer class.
Yeah, and again, if you don't write that message and you enter some code that screws things up, you could quite possibly get fired. just saying, guys. Okay, so SVN RM is how you can remove a file from the repository. Opposite of add, just remove it. and an MV for move, just like Unix again, to maybe, you know, if you're re-architecting, whatever. SVN diff is pretty cool. So I'm sure there are more options than what I'm talking about here, but I think the most basic usage of it is if you just type SVN diff and then the file name, it will show you exactly what lines were changed since the last committed version of the code, right?
Best command in the world.
SVN help will list all the SVN commands and what they do. SVN revert, remember how we can roll back to a previous state? You just kind of, you just do SVN revert, and you know, you have to throw more options at it to get what you want, but that's the basic anyway. Yeah, so that's pretty much that. Now, setting up a repo. Okay, I don't think we really finished this part. We're going to actually demo this.
So I'm actually going to demo this. I administer an SVN repository where I work. I'm the system administrator, unfortunately. So I'm just going to demonstrate this in about 2 minutes about how to set this up. Now, it's not going to have any of the fancy features like of Apache or whatever.
Oh, while you're setting up, I'd like to mention that while we've been talking about the command line interface to SVN, there is usually a graphical user interface available for you to download as well. For example, on Mac, there's Oxygen and there's also SVNX. I don't know what there is for Windows, but I'm sure there's quite a few options.
Like Eclipse?
Windows has Tortoise SVN. It's probably the absolute, it's probably the standard, probably the best one in my opinion. So
That's code plugs into this too, like how to show up for it.
Okay, so yeah. Other things do have SVN built in.
Okay, so basically what you do is I need root, so let me do that first. I serve off of here. Okay, I already have an SVN directory. Now there's, in addition to the SVN command,
Is anyone really confused by this? Okay.
yeah, there's an SVN admin command. Thank you. So SVN admin does all of these different things. It's really great. You can create a database. You can dump a database for backup purposes. You can hot copy a database. It's amazing. Even while it's being used, they'll create an exact replica of the database of your whole repository. And that's good for moving to external storage or something like that. These just list various logs. You can see the load, recover from an error. If you want to set various properties such as line endings, you can do that too. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do SVN admin create and then the name of the repository. Okay, I'm going to call it soda. So first thing I need to do is I'm going to give it ownership to I have a user SVN and a group SVN. And
What's that?
It shows all the files?
yeah.
And it does something like that.
Now, this is kind of a distro-centered thing, but I just want to show you what's going on here. It's starting up SVN serve, and all it does is it calls -d and then -r, which is a repository root. Okay, it's kind of like a web server. It forces all of the repositories to reside under that directory. So you don't have to type in my IP address /serve/svn/repository. It's just slash.
Okay, that's kind of nice. Also, he said distro, he's using OpenSUSE, right?
Yes.
OpenSUSE.
And then my user ID and then group ID that they run under. Typically, you don't want it to run under root. And then, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give ownership permissions to soda, not JSODA. What did I do wrong? Oh.
Intel.
Okay.